show any type of real head movement. His chin, however, is legit. But, as many fans have said before, the perfectly timed body shot can send your ass down. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. And today, 5 days. 5 days, 7 hours, 11 minutes, and 10, 9, 8, 7 seconds from the fight. This 36-year-old man right here, 38-0-1, 34 KOs, can lose. And if he loses, Canelo's 28 years old. So a loss for Golovkin means a lot more, especially when it comes to social media. They're going to slaughter him. Now, don't get me wrong. This fight is so big. And with what's been happening, the storylines behind both fighters, if they lose. For example, if Canelo loses, they're going to be like, look, the cheater lost. He didn't have his juice, so he lost. No wonder why he was ducking Golovkin for all these years. And this goes to show that he should have lost the first fight. For Golovkin, look, he fought all those bombs for all those years. Danny Jacobs should have really could have beat him if they would have gave him a rematch. That's why he didn't fight the Revianchenko and lost his belt, blah, 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 blah. But thank God that now it's here. And I think somebody's going to get knocked the fuck out, and I think it's going to be Canelo. What if Golovkin comes out in round number 13, the first round of this second fight, with the same intensity, with the same chin, with this, just better, obviously, with a year's more experience. Canelo's been off since then due to the suspension, in which he took a deal. For whatever reason, we don't know, but he did fail a test. And he did admit to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, for whatever reason, that he had clenbuterol in their system for whatever reason. I don't think that Golovkin's going to beat Canelo on the cards. Not in Vegas. If you look, and we're going to talk about it later on in the week, if you look at the cards for big fights for Canelo in Vegas, from Mayweather, from Landy Lara to this fight, even Cotto, they're either wide or they just said, fuck it, even if you lose, we're just going to, look what they did to Floyd. Madam C.J. Ross ain't been seen since. He's got to go for the KO. They can't leave it up to the judges. Golovkin's clock is ticking. How many fights does he have left? Remember, Canelo's only 28. How many fights does Golovkin have left? His body is growing out of 160 pounds. Abel Sanchez, who I talked to last year, was talking about Golovkin moving up to 168 pounds. You've seen the photos before we started getting himself in shape for the fight, of course. Canelo obviously is looking lighter. He is lighter. But guess what people are saying? It was because he's off his cycle. Me, I personally think it's because he really knows he has to outbox Golovkin. But can he keep Golovkin off him? Because Golovkin is no slouch when it comes to boxing. I like how he turns his knuckles with the punches, especially his right hook, punching you right on the top of your head and shit. He's got the body work. He didn't use the body work in the first half of the fight like he did in the second half. Imagine if he used the body work in the first half of the first fight. He could have likely stopped Canelo, but woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? He didn't. The fight was a motherfucking draw. But I think for the rematch, Golovkin, for one, has to defend better, even though it's not in his makeup Mexican style. He has to focus on that body. Canelo is focusing on moving. He's going to try to outbox him. Also conditioning, just in case it has to go 12. But Golovkin's never shown any real issues in regards to tiring later in fights. Let's go look at the resume and break down as many of these fights, in regards to why they happened from his HBO debut, which was back in 2012, which was September the 1st, 2012, I think it was. This guy right here. You can't see him. Proscope. HBO debut. Then Gabriel Rosado. Bloody Gabriel Rosado up. Gabriel Rosado still can sell tickets. Poor Nobuhiro Ishida. It was a damn shame what he did to him. Matthew Macklin. Remember the body shot. Curtis Stevens. You'll never forget that meme. Right? Osamani Adama when he won the WBA. No, correction. When did he win the WBA? No, it was Daniel Gear when he was elevated to the WBA Super World Champion. Then these two fights right here are important because Marco Antonio Rubio was the WBC interim champion because Sergio Martinez was injured. So Golovkin fought Marco Antonio Rubio to become the mandatory for Cotto, who was WBC champion at that time, after beating Sergio Martinez, right? Obviously, Cotto didn't want that work, so what did Golovkin go do? He went to fight future mandatory to get him out of the way for Cotto and WBC silver champion Martin Murphy over in Monte Carlo. Then he fought Willie Monroe Jr. This is when he was trying to get Canelo or Cotto. So he fought Willie Monroe Jr. Then he went to fight David Lemieux in his first fight on pay-per-view. It did 150,000 pay-per-view buys according to Wikipedia, whether that's true or not. Won the IBF title. He's now technically a unified champion with 3 belts with the WBC interim. Well, that's like a half a belt. The WBC interim, the WBA Super World, and then he has the IBF title. Then Dominic Wade was the IBF mandatory. He had to fight Dominic Wade or he was going to be stripped. Nonetheless, he ended up getting stripped, a couple of years later. But still, he had to fight Dominic Wade. Then Kell Brook, which was the money fight. He was supposed to be originally fighting Chris Eubank Jr., but Chris Eubank Jr. lost his pin. Kell Brook stepped in. Kell Brook was laying hands on him, as you can see by the cards, until Golovkin eventually broke his eye socket. Kell Brook went down to 147 to fight Earl Spence, got his other eye socket broken. Big balls, big scrotum on that guy. But what happened in Tenerife, Kell? What happened in Tenerife? Anyway. Big, highly anticipated fight, 170,000 pay-per-view buys, according to Wikipedia. Danny Jacobs, where he unified those WBA titles. Danny Jacobs was the WBA World Champion, and Golovkin was the WBA Super World Champion. Daniel Jacobs is now fighting Sergey Derevianchenko October the 27th for that IBF title, and many are raising questions. Well, wait a minute, as you can see here, he didn't weigh in for the IBF to use weight as an advantage against Golovkin, but yet he still got to do a weigh-in now, and he did admit that this is a different situation. Then, of course, the big one, Saul Canelo Alvarez. You would notice that David Moretti had scored 115-113 for Golovkin, but he's also a judge for the rematch as well, right? That's crazy. Benji Estevez Jr., a lot of other referees, media members happy that he's getting the job, and then Glenn Feldman and Steve Weisfeld. One of these guys had a job recently. Let me check real quick. A dog. Okay. All right. Never mind. But, Golovkin went on after Canelo to fight Vinicius Martirosyan because Canelo, no matter how you slice it, admitted to the Nevada State Athletic Commission that, clenbuterol, that he ingested clenbuterol, whether it was intentionally or not. He admitted, which is why the Nevada State Athletic Commission didn't suspend him for a year, but only 6 months. They said, okay, since you admitted it's your first offense, we're going to suspend you for 6 months, not a year. So what happens? Golovkin didn't want to sit out a year. He goes and fights Vinicius Martirosyan after the IBF warned him that they would strip him if he went on and fought him and didn't fight Sergey Derevianchenko. But with the way things were going, negotiations were dragged out. In my personal opinion, it was, a good ploy by Derevianchenko's side and his team, because they kind of knew Golovkin wasn't going to fight him, so they did everything they could to get that belt away from him. Now Danny Jacobs and Derevianchenko are fighting for it. So now that this fight has happened, I'm thinking that if Golovkin wins, he's going to go on to fight Billy Joe Saunders. If Billy Joe Saunders beats Demetrius Andrade on October the 20th, by the way, up in Boston on a zone. And then you have Danny Jacobs, I don't know what route he's going to go. Canelo will likely fight David Lemieux, Spike O'Sullivan, if he loses in December or something like that on HBO, depending on how he loses. So we're going to see. Like I said, it's a real busy week. I'm going to be streaming on this channel after the weigh-in and also after the fight. And we're going to be doing a giveaway. I'm not quite sure. I need a couple of days to figure out how we're going to do it. But if you're going to buy the pay-per-view, it's $84.99. I know motherfuckers is like, ha, 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 stream team. Then good luck with that shit because they making it difficult. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. I still got a lot of Canelo versus Golovkin videos to do. So I figured that I would do 2 parts. So remember that this video was focusing on Golovkin, and then my next video, or the one I did before this technically, is Canelo. So it's a 2-part, fight week video. Anyway, I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. Please subscribe.